The first thing that hits you is the smell. Not the smell of a city you recognize. No traffic fumes, no coffee, no morning commuters pushing past you. This smell is something older, heavier, and deeply, deeply offensive. Open sewage runs down the center of the street in a channel called a kennel. A pig trots past you without a care in the world. 2 streets away, a tanner is boiling animal hides, and somewhere close by, someone is cooking breakfast. Welcome to London. The year is 1000 AD, and you were born here. You are standing in what the locals call Lundenburg, a city built on the bones of a Roman settlement, pressed against the north bank of the River Thames. Home to somewhere between 10 and 20,000 people, it is one of the most important trading cities in all of Northern Europe. Merchants come here from Scandinavia, from France, from the far corners of the continent. Goods move in and out along the Thames every day, and it looks absolutely nothing like you imagined. There is no Tower of London, no Parliament, no black cabs, no coffee shop on every corner. What there is, a wooden bridge crossing the Thames, a sprawling market by the waterfront, a church at almost every junction, and a king named Ethelred. History will one day call him Ethelred the Unready. What most people do not know is that unready is a mistranslation. The original Old English word was unread, meaning poorly advised. Ethelred was not unprepared. He was just surrounded by terrible people, which, frankly, is a different problem. You were born here. This is your world. Here is what your day actually looks like. You wake before dawn. That is not a personal choice. That is how life works in the year 1000. Natural light is free. Candles and oil lamps are not. Your home is a single-room wattle and daub structure. Thin wooden poles woven together and plastered with a mixture of mud, straw, and animal dung. The roof is thatched. The floor is packed earth. You share this space with your family, quite possibly a goat, and an impressive collection of insects that have also decided this is their home. There is no bed. There is a straw pallet on the floor. There is no central heating. There is a fire pit in the center of the room, a round, shallow depression in the earth, which provides warmth and light and fills the entire room with smoke. The smoke is supposed to escape through a hole in the roof. In theory, breakfast is pottage. It was pottage yesterday. It will be pottage tomorrow. Pottage is a thick stew made from oats, dried peas, onions, and whatever herbs are growing nearby. You eat it from a wooden bowl. You drink ale. Not because it is morning and you want ale, but because the water pulled from the Thames is something you have learned by painful experience not to drink. Outside, London is already moving. The city is loud, chaotic, and surprisingly alive. Merchants shout near the waterfront. Fishmongers line the riverside. Craftsmen, leatherworkers, blacksmiths, potters, bakers work in open-fronted shops. Animals are everywhere. Oxen pulling carts, horses, chickens, and more pigs. The streets are not paved. They are mud. Ancient, compressed, layered mud with straw scattered on top, and the accumulated refuse of a city that has no formal waste collection system. In wet weather, these streets become something that is genuinely difficult to walk through, and worse to think about. There is no street lighting. After dark, London essentially disappears. There is technically a curfew. A bell is rung at dusk signaling that fires should be covered and citizens should be indoors. The word curfew itself comes from the Old French couvre-feu, meaning cover the fire. Most people obey it, not out of respect for authority, but because wandering around London in pitch darkness at the turn of the first millennium is not a plan with a good ending. Now, who are you exactly? Your place in this city depends almost entirely on the circumstances of your birth. If you are lucky, you are a freeman, a craftsman, a trader, a small landholder. You have rights. You can own property, appear in court, and are protected by something loosely resembling the law. If you are not so lucky, you might be a thrall, a slave. Slavery in Anglo-Saxon England is a legal, documented institution. Thralls carry out the hardest labor, own nothing, and have almost no legal recourse whatsoever. It is estimated that around 10% of the English population exists in this condition. This is a fact that later history tends to gloss over. But in the year 1000, it is very much the reality. Here is where things get complicated. Your life expectancy at birth is somewhere around 35 to 40 years. But that number is misleading. The reason the average is so low is the terrifying reality of childhood. Estimates suggest roughly 1 in 3 children in this period do not survive past the age of 5. Disease, malnutrition, infection. The odds are stacked heavily against the youngest. If you make it through childhood, living into your 50s or 60s is genuinely possible. But getting there requires navigating. Dysentery, smallpox, respiratory infections from a lifetime of breathing smoke-filled rooms, and infected teeth. Everyone's teeth are in a state that would make a modern dentist weep openly. Not from sugar. Sugar is not yet widely available. From a combination of grit in the bread, acidic ale, and the complete absence of anything resembling dental hygiene. And then, there are the Vikings. By the year 1000, the Danes have been raiding England for well over 2 centuries. In recent memory, Danish fleets have swept up the coast and caused widespread destruction. The threat has never fully gone away. King Ethelred's preferred solution to the Viking threat is creative. He pays them. A national tax called Danegeld, essentially state-sponsored protection money on a grand scale, is levied from the English population to persuade the Danes to leave. This works, sometimes, temporarily. Religion shapes every hour of your day. Christianity has been dominant in England for centuries, and in London it is inescapable. An earlier version of St. Paul's Cathedral, not the building you know, but a structure on the same site, dominates the city's outline. Church bells divide the day into hours. Religious feast days fill the calendar and determine when markets open, when work stops, and when you are expected to attend a service, whether you feel like it or not. Above the church, in theory, is the king. Ethelred rules from Winchester, but London's importance is growing. The city has its own laws, its own developing courts, its own emerging merchant associations. Something is beginning here. You can almost feel it. A sense that this city, this noisy, smelly, chaotic city on the Thames, is becoming something larger than any one ruler can contain. It will be centuries before that story fully unfolds. But you are living in its opening chapter. So, could you survive being born in London in the year 1000? Honestly, yes, probably. If you survived childhood, if you were born into a trade family rather than servitude, if you kept your head down during the raids, avoided the worst of the outbreaks, stayed out of feuds, and did not find yourself on the wrong side of someone with more power than you. Survival rating, 6 out of 10. The city is real, the community is real, the trade, the craft, the daily rhythm, all real. People fall in love here, raise children, build things with their hands, argue with their neighbors, and live full and eventful lives. But the disease is real. The darkness after curfew is real. The smoke you breathe every morning is real. And the very genuine possibility of a Viking longship rounding the bend of the Thames, at any moment, also very real. London in the year 1000 was not a place for the faint-hearted, but it was already becoming one of the most extraordinary cities on Earth. Not bad, for a place that smelled like that. If you are still here, congratulations, you survived. Hit subscribe. Next week, we are going somewhere even stranger.